Welcome everyone to LinkedIn Live. I'm Mark Stabina from Winning EQ. I love these LinkedIn Lives. Welcome to all of you from wherever you're tuning in from during your workday. Some of you might not be working. Very envious of you. We're going to get to work here and we're going to educate and inspire, which is what I'm always trying to do with LinkedIn Live. And I've promoted my guest and just want to give a little bit of a background before I bring him onto your screen. Alistair Bailey, we're talking to today, a friend of mine, a former colleague. He played professional rugby for 11 years, so we share very similar backgrounds. He played for teams in England, professional teams like Saracens, the world famous Saracens, Worcester Warriors, before moving out to Australia to play for the Eastern Suburbs, the Easties Beasties. Any rugby players online right now will know who I'm talking about. And that's when we met. So we actually met when Al took the role as director of rugby for a very exclusive, very expensive private school, I might add, which suits Alistair Bailey's personality perfectly. Sydney Grammar School in the middle of Sydney. And I was asked to come in and do some kind of coaching. He was the main man. I came in to do some sessions here and there. I was still very active in my professional career, and we obviously hit it off, became great friends and colleagues for a couple of seasons there before I took off overseas. Now, we lost contact, which happens when things like that go on. He stayed in Sydney and coached, and very recently, in fact, just the other day, we reconnected, which was such a delight after 23 years, 20 odd years of seeing Al in the flesh. And as we're catching up and he's telling me what he's been up to, he told me that his life has taken quite a dramatic turn. And he then went on to explain that he'd been recently diagnosed with a quite rare neurological condition called CIDP. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce what it is in long form. I'll let Al do that. And I was naturally shocked to hear about it. I was saddened to hear what he was going through and what he was dealing with. But then I was very quickly inspired and motivated when he also told me how he's navigating and what he's doing next, what he's doing with the cards that he's been dealt, which again is so Al Bailey. And without any further ado, I want to bring the man of the hour in with us to tell us more about it. There he is. Welcome. Alistair Bailey.
Stevie, you're too kind.
People don't know me as Stabby anymore. It's very good to know. I'm kidding.
Good to see you. How much do I owe you?
I'll send the invoice.
Look,
Well, I just before I brought you in, I said I'd let you tell us more about this life turn of yours, this curveball, if you will. What is CIDP? What is it, and how does it affect?
CIDP is chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyrobicular neuropathy.
Well done.
Which is a mouthful at the best of times, but essentially it's very similar to MS, in that your brain tells your immune system to attack your basically attack your autoimmune system. So your autoimmune system breaks down the myelin sheath that supports the nerves and so on. So that's the long and short of it. It's not pleasant, but like anything, it's as we've talked about, everyone has curveballs that they have to deal with, and it's about then going, well, do you submit to it, or do you go, it's not even fighting it. It's how do I, we talked about it yesterday. I'm not sure I'm still comfortable with the phrase embrace, but accept that this is the way it's going to be, and how do we move forward? And that's been the big thing. Certainly for me is you've gone from having perfect mobility to zero.
Al, if you don't mind, so if just give us a bit more of an idea of how it does affect you. You said from mobility, like what parts of your daily life does it impact?
Mate, it impacts every part of daily life. It impacts being able to go up and down stairs. It impacts being able to walk down the street. It impacts just tiredness and fatigue and so on. So all those things kick in. So it unfortunately it's a progressive, horrible condition, but you can't. At the end of the day, you've got one of two choices. You either sit there and go, woe is me, or you've got a choice of going, not fighting it, the best of it. And fighting, as we both know, is a very, very tiring experience, and quite often no one really wins at the end of it. Embracing, we spoke about this last night, but I'm not sure about embracing it, but accepting it and then working with it is the best path forward. And and it's not always going to be easy, or there'll certainly be times where there are times that I have now. I was diagnosed over a year ago, but there are times where you think you can be on top of it, and then there'll be times where you think you need the extra help, but it is what it is. I think the key thing is it's not giving up. You got to work your path out, and we've spoken a lot over the past couple of weeks. And guys that we've both known that have had injuries and so on. You have to work a path out, and unfortunately for me, my injury is progressive. It's there,
Yeah.
So
We did talk about that, didn't we, Al, as well? I just wanted to, sorry to keep cutting in, because I'm thinking all these things, and I know that there's some really inspirational words in what you're saying, and ideas on how to handle unexpected things like this. And then the acceptance. I think it's fascinating when you say embrace, I don't know, because I went ahead and just titled this, right? Oh, embrace the unexpected, right? How do we embrace it? So fascinating that you would be like, not sure if embracing is the right word, how I'm approaching this. And I totally get it, the acceptance. And maybe that will come. Maybe you'll never embrace, but certainly acceptance is what you're saying, is like, look, it happened a year ago. It's progressive. And that's where you kindly said, Mark, you went through this, you had to transition, you had to handle an injury, of uncertainty. To which I said to you, but Al, like, as I improved, that chapter I can put behind me of that accepting that this is my new fate, accepting that things are going to look different now, especially not being a rugby player anymore. And I want to ask you about that. But what I'm not dealing with is what you're dealing with. You're telling me there's no recovery. It's progressive. So it's each day you've had to accept that this is now it. There's no recovering from it. Well, that's what I'm hearing you say.
yeah,
How do you navigate that?
well, day by day, to be honest with you, Stevie. It's it's something that you have to set your mind to and go, look, the things that you used to be able to do and thought you could do and all the rest of it, over time, won't happen. Just simply won't happen. It's still a really difficult thing to, as we've talked about previously. Everyone has issues in their lives and so on. It's more about putting in place the coping mechanisms to deal with those issues that aren't going to be detrimental and destroy relationships and so on. And I went through a point of abusing alcohol and so on, but then completely nibbed that in the bud, because I could tell it wasn't healthy and it wasn't good for my condition. But it's a natural thing. You sort of you're at the the pinnacle or the highlight of your career. You're doing X, Y, and Z, and then the rug gets pulled under you, and I think it's.
What are some of those, Al? What are some of those coping mechanisms? I mean, and again, I acknowledge you and thank you for being so open about what you went through and vulnerable. And I think that's something a lot of people can relate to. And something happens that people struggle with. It's challenging. They might turn to self-medicating and numbing. Right, alcohol. It's escapism in a way. It's and you had the strength to see that this is a slippery slope. If I continue, this isn't helping me or anyone. So you stopped it because you knew there was a better way, and you had to accept you could have kept going down and spiraling so that you wouldn't have to face it, you wouldn't have to deal with it. And here you are, you've stopped it. You're now figuring out ways to navigate and make the most of what you have, what you still have. So can you tell us, what are some of those coping mechanisms that you said you have to put into place?
I think the key thing is not beating yourself up. It's very easy to wake up and think, and in actual fact, Michael Klim, the
Aussie
swimmer, he has CIDP as well.
I did not know that. Wow.
And one of the things he said about the way he deals with the condition is that he allows himself an hour a day to just have a complete whinge and moan, and then it's like, right, I've done that, let's crack on.
Right.
And he's, his treatment has been, he's a couple of years advanced in my condition, but it's simple things like that where you're going, you're allowed to have that moment of, it's not even self-pity, it's just that moment of having a whinge, a complaint. I mean, Stevie, you'll say this as a pommy, to a pommy, it's a pommy whinge.
A whinging pom.
But it releases so much, and then you can go, well, actually, how much of this is really important? And of course, probably all of it is important, but how much of it is going to be impactful on the way that you go about your daily life? And I think that for me, that's been the sort of lifeline. It's you can't give up on. It'd be very, very easy for me to sit on the sofa and go, woe is me, I can't do anything, I've got this. That's bullshit. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to use that language, but but you get what I mean. It's yes, acknowledge it. I don't think embracing is necessarily the right phrase, but certainly accepting and then moving forward, because you then know what you're dealing with, and you can then manage what you're dealing with, moving forward. And it's a very, very hard thing for well, I say it's a hard thing. We talked about it the other day about your injury, and you said, "Oh, but I had an endpoint, with a progressive condition. There is no endpoint, but it's still the same mentality. Do you know what I mean?
The same mentality in terms of accepting, at least you can expect your fate, I guess, in for want of a better expression. Like, it's not like you're going to be necessarily surprised. So at least you have that. That's what I'm hearing you, and you just carry on, right? You have your coping mechanisms. I'm also interested. I had a question for you. When you have that, you give yourself permission to feel the feels, right? It's like, I'm not
Yeah.
going to deny, like, it sucks, and I'm not going to just suppress it and hold it down and try and be something that I'm not feeling right now. Let me feel it. But as you said, then once that's done, which is important for you to cope, you shift. So is there something what motivates you and helps you shift out of that, giving yourself the time to have a rant, to be upset, to be angry? You said the pity party, but not really pity, but you allow yourself that. What is it then that helps you shift into, as you say, getting on with it?
I think the biggest thing for me is that I've got a really good support network around me, but particularly my wife. And I appreciate that for a 6'7", 19 stone rugby player to sound soppy about his wife is but the amount that she does to help out, but also allows me that space, and I think that's the key thing with your loved ones, that and your family and friends, that just simply give you the space to just blow out and vent, or whatever it may well be, but then be there to not pick up the pieces, but be there to support you through it. And I, so alongside of that, friends, as there've been a lot of friends that have sort of chipped in and helped out, but I think it's your closest that really gives you the support and motivation, and for me, Julie is, my wife has been the biggest support. She's probably also been the biggest antagonist in terms of recovery.
Say careful now.
But it with a condition like I have, it is complicated because there is no endpoint. It's not like it's not as severe as MND or Parkinson's or something like that. Mine is almost like being in purgatory. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse, but it's not going to kill you, which is good to know. But it also needs managing and dealing with, and it does have a huge impact in terms of your daily life. But at the end of the day, there are in part, which is why I want to do these challenges, and well, not want to do. I am going to do these challenges over the course of the next 18 months. Because there's not a great deal of research and awareness about CIDP.
Right.
So doing these rides with ex-teammates and opponents, and hopefully, Stevie, you'll be along for at least one of the rides over the 4. But it's I think that's important.
Well, I was going to say that, Al, if I may, I was going to segue into that because it is really important. Let's really raise awareness and shine a spotlight on these challenges that you've decided to do. Just what you were saying before about, I think a lot of people can take away the importance of support, right? I think it's great to know that you're not doing this alone. Any challenge that we go through, anything that's impacting us in our life negatively, you don't have to go through it alone. So it's wonderful that you have that support around you. And speaking of support, you're drumming up support for these challenges that you're doing. And that's also, I imagine, another way to cope and accept and make the most of what you're doing now is by focusing outward, right? You're not just focusing on you. Yes, you're doing that and managing what you have to manage, but now you're focusing outward and raising awareness, raising money, helping an organization that is doing the same and trying to, I imagine, find ways to help people cope with and hopefully even cure this condition. And that charity is called GAIN, and you're doing the challenges as an ambassador for them. Tell us more about GAIN and then the challenges.
So GAIN have been a massive support. So the charity is based around Guillain-Barré syndrome and CIDP and other neurological conditions. GBS is probably the most widely known. CIDP is incredibly rare, but the charity is based around supporting research and whatnot and into those conditions. But they've also been, for me, they've been a phenomenal support network. Since I got diagnosed, because I had no idea what I was diagnosed with. So you have to find out, and then you find people that do know, and you end up talking, and they've been brilliant. So with the challenges, the original challenge was to to be honest, to say it was a challenge, it was a comment to a few mates saying, right, well, why don't we do Mont Ventoux? One of the iconic rides up the Pyrenees in the Tour de France. And so it went from there, and then it was like, oh, might need to do a bit of training for this. So it's now folded out to 4 challenges. So London, Brighton, the the coast to coast, which is Whitehaven to South Shields, over in the northwest to northeast, London, Paris, which, funnily enough, a lot of my ex-teammates want to do that.
Sounds like a great challenge.
Yeah. They're keen on that one, and then Vontu, will basically be the highlight or the pinnacle.
When do these all start, Al? When does the first one kick off? Have you got it ready to go?
I need to have sign off from my neurologist. I was in hospital last week, so as soon as I get sign off, and then the hand cycles all been organised and so on, but I can't do anything until I get sign off from medical, which
well, you'll find a way. I know you, man. You'll definitely find a way. If it's not a hand cycle, it'll be something else.
Well, we'll do it. And to be honest with you, even if the medics don't sign off on it, I'm going to do it anyway. So
there you go. There you go. There he is. Well, I'll post a link then for people in where I post this, how they can support, how they can get more information about the challenges, about the charity, and obviously anybody that wants to reach out to you will have those details as well, right? If they want to message you, if they want to ask any questions, we'll make sure that they can reach you in the best way, Al. And let's get this out there. What do you say?
Perfect. And thank you so much for the opportunity.
Again, Al, it's an honor and a privilege, and I'm just so grateful that you are doing what you're doing, and you were willing to come on here and share, like I said, so vulnerably. No doubt that's also one of the ways that you cope with this and you accept it. It's like you're just facing it with courage, and it's an inspiration to us all. So I'm very grateful for you, buddy, and can't wait to do the London to Paris challenge.
Perfect.
All right, Al, have a great night. It's late for you in the UK, and everybody else that joined. Thank you so much for joining.
Yep.
And stay tuned for the next one. Great to see you, Al, as always.
Take care, buddy.